Welcome back to the channel. Today we are breaking down one of football's most intense rivalries, the Manchester Derby. City versus United isn't just about bragging rights, it's a clash of two distinct tactical philosophies. Guardiola's possession-based system against Amorim's dynamic, high-pressing approach. Let's dive into the key tactical battles that could decide this massive fixture.
Manchester Derby. Today we break down the team's tactics, a detailed analysis of the goals, and the key individual mistakes. Let's go. When building out from the back, Manchester United, as has become standard for them, pushed one of their center backs, Matthijs de Ligt, higher into the holding midfield zone. Together with Ugarte, they formed a double pivot in front of their own box whenever United's goalkeeper was on the ball. But when the game moved further up the pitch, de Ligt dropped back into a back three. That left United with just a single pivot, and against City's 4-1-4-1 structure, it was difficult to find space in that zone to receive the ball. Manchester City pressed in their 4-1-4-1 shape, though not always choosing the right angles or blocking the passing lanes effectively. Already in the 5th minute, City players jumped into the press but forgot to close down de Ligt in midfield, who received the ball freely. In that moment, Foden should have stepped in and closed the distance to apply pressure. Because of that lapse, United launched a very direct vertical attack, with de Ligt finding Amad Diallo in central midfield. But here, the quality of the player mattered. Diallo had around 10 meters of open space ahead of him, where he could drive forward and force the opponent to make a defensive decision, breaking their line. Instead, he immediately played the ball wide to Mbeumo, and the whole attacking potential of the move fizzled out. United, for their part, also pressed actively in the early minutes, forcing City into mistakes. City had no short passing options in their build-up. Donnarumma played a pass to Guardiola. Let's break this down. First, the pass was played to Guardiola's right foot. Second, there was only about a 7-meter gap between him and Mbeumo, meaning the United winger could easily intercept. Already the pass itself was risky. In this situation, Guardiola shouldn't have positioned himself so wide. He should have created a shorter, safer passing lane. On top of that, City's left back had moved inside, removing width on that flank. He could have been an outlet in central areas if the goalkeeper had been more comfortable playing with his feet. Instead, Guardiola received the ball, turned, and found no options wide. He just cleared the ball forward. At the same time, O'Reilly was completely blocked and couldn't be used as a passing option. He should have positioned closer to the flank. That sequence ended with a cross into the box, where Donnarumma cleaned up. Another recurring issue for City was defending the far post zone. Often it became a 2 versus 1 disadvantage, or Bernardo Silva found himself isolated against much taller United players and kept losing aerial duels there. In the second half, United pressed City in a 4-4-2 shape, fully shutting down the pivot zone. That forced City to rely on long balls much more. The score also pushed United to press aggressively and apply constant pressure. Looking at United's overall structure in this match, a back three, 1 pivot in midfield, 3 attacking midfielders underneath the striker. Bruno Fernandes operated more centrally, while Diallo and another player took up half-space roles. The striker stayed central, and the wingbacks pushed very high and wide. A crucial tactical element here was the wide positioning of Mbeumo and Mazraoui. Whenever United switched play, it created a 2 versus 1 overload on O'Reilly's flank. O'Reilly couldn't cope. If he stepped out aggressively against Mbeumo in the half space, he completely exposed his flank, leaving Mazraoui free to receive in depth. If he stayed compact, Mbeumo got the ball between the lines. This 2v1 dynamic happened repeatedly throughout the game and was one of United's biggest tactical strengths. We can see it clearly in one example. City defending in a 4-1-4-1 block. Mazraoui making a run from the half space into the middle, dragging O'Reilly inside, which opened the diagonal pass to the completely free Mbeumo on the wing. As I mentioned earlier, the 2 versus 1 situation often appeared at the far post as well. In this episode, Mbeumo strikes brilliantly with a one-touch finish, and Donnarumma makes a fantastic save. If we look at the overall game structure in the second half, Manchester United shifted to playing with two holding midfielders. Their positional attack looked like a 3-2-5 against Manchester City's mid-block. This gave United a numerical advantage in the attacking line. 5 players against 4, and again produced frequent 2 versus 1s on the flanks. City struggled to close passing lanes between the lines throughout the match. On both flanks, United's midfielders could comfortably receive the ball. Just like in this episode, Bruno Fernandes took a progressive pass between the lines, and that led to fast transitional attacks from United. If we turn to Manchester City's attacking structure, it was a back 3 with left-back O'Reilly inverting into midfield, taking up an inside role. And once again, as I've already noticed this season, City overloaded central areas massively. That actually made ball progression through the middle more difficult because of the sheer number of players there. Instead, they freed up the wings, where Doku on one flank and Bernardo Silva on the other were supposed to receive the ball in isolation, rely on their 1 versus 1 ability, and then deliver a cross into the box, where at least 3 City attackers plus 2 midfielders arriving on the edge were ready to attack the second ball. This was City's main offensive idea. There was also space to attack depth in the half-space zones, because one of United's center-backs stepped wide to cover his wing-back and did not track runs into that channel. De Ligt, playing centrally, didn't compensate by shifting across, and City's inside forwards often exploited that space. Meanwhile, United's holding midfielder Ugarte couldn't track those runs consistently. United, by contrast, tried to combine in tight areas on the flanks, then break quickly into counterattacks. In this example, United combined well in a small space, Mbeumo produced a brilliant backheel pass, and United launched a fast break, only for Husinov to intercept at the last moment. When City had possession, Foden often dropped deeper, sometimes into the pivot zone, sometimes wider, to receive the ball and drag an opponent out of position. Now let's focus on a couple of episodes involving Rodri. In this situation, you can see him scanning, turning his head to assess ball and opponents before receiving. He gets the ball and immediately tries to take his first touch into the available space. From a tactical perspective, that's exactly the correct top-level decision. But technically, Rodri let himself down here. His first touch was poor, he lost control, and United launched a counterattack, with Amad Diallo almost connecting with the ball in a jumping attempt, but missing. To be fair, that was a very difficult chance. Another moment with Rodri. Here he received the ball under pressure. The pass into him was risky, with little time to think or options available. He tried to flick it into space but lost it again. This time, however, United couldn't turn it into a dangerous counter. Now let's break down the first goal. Pay close attention to Jeremy Doku. First, he appears on the left wing, but drifts into the middle. Then the ball is switched across to the opposite side, where Bernardo Silva receives. At that moment, Doku moves toward the ball, leaving his winger position and to overload the other flank. He positions himself between the lines completely unmarked. Neither Diallo nor Ugarte block the passing lane into him. Luke Shaw can't step out to press Doku because that would expose the depth behind him, and no one was covering that space. It was a mirror image of United's own 2 versus 1 overloads on the flanks. Here, Luke Shaw was forced to deal with 2 players at once. Doku receiving between the lines and Tijani Reinders, who was ready to attack the depth. In this episode, City's overload and Doku's smart positioning allowed him to receive the ball in space. Then came a moment of pure individual brilliance. A body feint one way, a quick shift the other, beating his man with ease. Suddenly, all of United's defenders were clustered into the same zone. And now watch United's captain Bruno Fernandes. Doku delivers a cross. The first one is blocked, but immediately he prepares a second attempt. Now ask yourself, which player here is completely unmarked? Take a look at this picture. Do you see anyone picking up Phil Foden? Exactly, no one. Despite United having plenty of bodies inside the box, nobody is covering him. This is 100% on Bruno Fernandes. He completely switched off in this episode, and Foden finishes without any pressure whatsoever. 1-0 City. And it wasn't just this moment. Fernandes had a disastrous game defensively. Let's jump to the 23rd minute. United are retreating, City are building again. Watch Fernandes here. He just runs in a straight line. I freeze the frame. Even if you're not a professional player at Premier League level, it's obvious. Who is the most dangerous, completely free man inside United's box? Correct, Tijani Reinders. Of course, Doku once again attracts 3 defenders with his brilliance and plays the ball inside. That's just top-level quality from him. In my opinion, he's already a top 2 left winger in the world. But look at Fernandes. He's standing behind Reinders, not close enough to challenge, not even trying to get tight. Compare that to how Dorgu is marking Haaland with physical contact. Bruno, meanwhile, is jogging around casually like, well, at least I track back. Naturally, Reinders gets a first-time shot from a prime position. Fernandes can't block it, and only by sheer luck does the ball hit the United goalkeeper. That should have been 2-0 in the 23rd minute. 2 big defensive errors from Bruno Fernandes inside his own box. But it doesn't end there. 75th minute, United lose the ball, and City are ready to launch another counter. Once again, the same duo, Reinders and Fernandes. City regain possession. There are 4 meters between them. United are trailing 3-0. Energy and urgency should be sky high. But no. Look how quickly Reinders accelerates and how slowly Fernandes reacts. 4 meters instantly become 11, then more. Reinders receives the ball, while Fernandes is literally out of the camera frame. That turns into a one-on-one chance, which Reinders fails to convert. But again, nobody from United was tracking him. Now let's analyze the second goal. City throw-in. O'Reilly plays it to Foden. First problem, Mazraoui applies no pressure. He takes up a passive position and lets O'Reilly receive freely. Second problem, O'Reilly nutmegs his marker and plays Foden through. Mazraoui's passivity is exposed. No initial pressure meant O'Reilly could execute that play. But the real issue comes next. Foden passes to Doku. Now watch the defensive line, especially Yoro. Doku lays the ball across to Haaland, who scores. But Yoro's positioning is shocking. Instead of blocking the most dangerous central lane, he almost invites Doku to cut inside and play the pass into Haaland. His body shape is completely wrong. He should have been positioned to shut down that angle. Then the third goal. United in positional attack. Ugarte passes to Luke Shaw, and it's an awful pass. Shaw has to take 2 steps back and still doesn't get the ball to feet. At this level, to misplace a simple 13-meter pass by that margin is unacceptable. The City player is already reading the play, sprinting to press. Shaw somehow keeps the ball, plays it back, but look at Ugarte. He just stands and watches, hoping someone else will recover. Is this exactly the level of a Premier League player? Terrible. Thankfully, Maguire reacts and gets there first to clean up. A City player is first to react. The ball bounces kindly, and suddenly Haaland has half the pitch to attack into. Of course, he's going to score from there. The pass is perfect, and the finish is clinical. To be fair, United did create moments near City's goal. Some of them were unlucky not to end up in the net. Take Casemiro's chance, or the deflected ball that fell to Mbeumo. He simply wasn't ready to adjust his foot and make proper contact. Overall, it was an intense, emotional Manchester derby, full of drama, but in the end, City fully deserved the win.
That wraps up today's Manchester derby breakdown. 2 tactical masterminds, 2 different philosophies. This one's going to be special. What's your prediction? Let me know in the comments, hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next one.